Professor Mike McKee and I were both at that conference. We somehow missed your speech when you insulted the entire room. We must have been out getting a drink somewhere. But let me turn your own question back on you. Does finance benefit society?
I think it does, but I think our own view of the benefits might be overstated, and in particular, we don't explain enough to people what we're doing good, and we're not criticizing enough what we're doing bad.
How do we draw the distinction here on this table when we talk about finance every morning and we have this steady drip of settlements? How do we tell the difference between what is lending and what is financial activity?
I think that it's difficult to do on a daily basis, but the essential point is that a good financial system is really crucial to a well-functioning economy. However, not every activity of the financial system is really benefit the economy at large. There is a lot of what we call in economics rent-seeking. Mm-hmm. And I think that as academics, we have to be more critical about the subject that we study, and we should expose when there is rent-seeking.
This is something that Professor Robert Schiller of Yale concentrates on quite a bit as well, you know, this beneficial characteristics or lack of them of finance. Is regulated finance, you know, a good thing for society? Have we got there?
So I think that we need rules to make the market work. I think the idea that markets can work without any rule is wrong. Now, the fundamental problem is who designs those rules, and are those rules designed to make the market work better or to favor somebody? And I think too many rules are designed to favor somebody and not to make the market work better.
You know, you talked in your speech about the role that academics play. After you gave this speech, what did people say to you? Did they come up to you and say, I've been waiting for somebody to pull all this literature together and make this argument? Or
actually, of course, there is a selection of the people who come to you after, but I got a lot of people being very pleased. And the thing that actually was most inspiring is that a few young people said, oh, this speech gave me the courage to do certain kind of research. And I think that that's the role of a presidential speech, is not necessarily to break new ground, but to give younger researcher a direction.
You, along with the folks at the Kellogg School, put together the Financial Trust Index that plays all together in this. Americans don't really trust their financial system, although it's a little bit better than it was right after the crisis. What does that imply for the way society works?
For example, if you lack trust, you're less likely to invest in the stock market. So this reduced stock market participation, which is a key element to both reduce the cost of capital, but also give people an opportunity to invest in the stock market and so to retire early. So I think that that's one crucial element. The other is politically, they might sort of lobby or be active to try to limit the role of finance. So one of the big problems I see and I discuss is that finance works well only when there is a social consensus on its work. And if we don't create a social consensus, the backlash can be very negative.
And without that, you have basically an arms race. You have the popularity of Bernie Sanders now at 22% in New Hampshire against the arms race of lobbying in D.C.
Absolutely.
The Federal Reserve, has it helped in this scenario?
I beg your pardon?
Has the Federal Reserve helped in this scenario?
I think it depends on what actions. I think that the Federal Reserve took a lot of extraordinary action during the crisis. Some of them were very helpful to stabilize the economy. Some were a little bit sort of aggressive and not always well explained to the public. And I think that this idea that they run the country on their own, I think is pretty scary to people.
All right, I've never before said these words, but this presidential address from a financial conference is worth a read. From Luigi Zingales, Does Finance Benefit Society?